You don't expect the knock. It's not loud or frantic, it's that polite, rehearsed kind of knock, the kind that comes with an agenda tucked under a cardigan. You already know who it is before you even open the door. Your mom. She's holding a reusable grocery bag like it's some kind of disguise. Inside, probably a jar of soup or that herbal tea she brings when she wants something. Her smile is the kind that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Can we talk for a minute?" she asks, already stepping inside. You let her, out of habit, out of instinct, out of that twitch in your chest that still believes somewhere deep down that parents are supposed to protect, not bulldoze. She walks in like she owns the place, which, for the record, she absolutely doesn't. Not legally, not financially, not emotionally. But she walks through your hallway like it's an exhibit of bad decisions you should be grateful for. You offer tea. She declines. This is serious. She sits on your couch, and folds her hands in her lap.
I've been thinking she starts, which is always code for I've made a decision I hope you'll just accept quietly.
Then the sentence that shifts everything. We need to talk about the house. The house. Your house. The one you refinanced when things got tough. The one you painted yourself. The one where you patched the water damage, laid down new tile, and learned to sleep again after heartbreak. You tilt your head, slow blinking. What about it? She breathes in like she's preparing for a speech. Your sister's been going through a lot with the divorce, and she's struggling. Emotionally, financially. You know how hard this has been. You nod once. You do know. You've been on the phone with her during the tears. You lent her money when she swore she just needed a couple weeks. You even helped her move out of the townhouse when things fell apart. You didn't complain. You showed up.
But you're not sure where this is going until she says,
"We think it might be best for everyone if she moved in here." You blink. Your father and I talked about it. You stare at her, trying to understand how calm she sounds. Like this is just a minor rearrangement of furniture. Like you're the spare chair in someone else's game of musical homes. "I live here," you say. "I know," she says quickly, "and we're not saying you can't stay. But maybe you'd be open to taking a break from the house for a little while." Just while she gets back on her feet. You actually laugh. A quiet, disbelieving huff. "Take a break from my own home." She flinches, just slightly. "Well, technically it's still the family home. It's always been..." You stand. Not aggressively. Just enough to remind yourself you can. "I bought this house," you say evenly. "I have the deed." Her lips press together. She doesn't like this version of you. The one that doesn't fold. The one that doesn't explain their pain in a way that makes it easier to ignore. I just think she says carefully that if you really cared about family, you'd be willing to make a sacrifice. There it is. The weaponized guilt. You've seen it 100 times. When you didn't come home for Easter, when you said no to co-signing a loan, when you asked to be treated like more than a backup plan. You sit back down. Not because she asked you to, because you choose to. "This isn't about family," you say softly. "This is about convenience. And you've decided that I'm the easiest one to inconvenience." She doesn't reply. She just gathers her things, says, "Think about it." And as she walks out, you realize something is different this time. You're not shaken. You're not scrambling to please. You're grounded. Because you know something she's chosen to forget. You didn't just live in this house. You built this life. And you're not giving it up just because someone else's life hit pause. You don't call her back right away. You let the quiet stretch across 2 days like a bridge you're no longer willing to finish building. Then on Saturday afternoon, they come over together. Your mom rings the doorbell this time. 2 quick taps, then 1 longer like it's a secret code she's always used when she's trying to be sweet. Your dad stands behind her, arms folded like he's here on official business. You open the door, expression blank. The tension follows them inside like smoke. Your mom smiles like nothing happened. Your dad doesn't smile at all. They sit on your couch again like it's still theirs. Like their decades of raising you bought lifetime access to whatever you build. "We wanted to talk face to face," your mom says, smoothing her skirt like she's preparing for a job interview. "About the house," your dad adds. You nod. "Still my house, yes. He ignores the jab. Or maybe he just doesn't know how to respond when you stop softening the truth. Your mom starts again. We know it sounds like we're asking a lot. You are. She pauses, then presses forward. But your sister has nothing right now. She gave everything to that marriage, her time, her career, her peace. And when he left, she was left with bills and nowhere to go. She needs stability. And this house is mine, you finish. Your dad finally jumps in. You're being selfish. You laugh short and sharp. Selfish is trying to evict your own kid from their home because your other kid made bad choices. She didn't choose this, your mom says, raising her voice slightly for the first time. No, you say calmly, but neither did I. And I'm not going to be punished because she's hurting. The room goes still. Your dad crosses his arms tighter. You're acting like we're the enemy. You stare him down. If I were a stranger, you'd never ask me to give up my home for someone else's divorce. But because I'm your child, you think I'll roll over. Your mom softens, tries to shift tactics. This isn't about taking the house away from you. It's just pressing pause. A little adjustment. A few months. You know this game. A few months becomes a year. A year becomes... Well, she's finally settled. Why would you displace her now? And then suddenly you're the one asking to sleep in your own guest room. I'm not moving out, you say, tone final. Your mom's face flickers. You're really going to make your sister live in a motel. I didn't ask her to get married. I didn't ask her to leave, and I didn't sign up to fix it. There's a long silence. Then your dad stands. We'll talk again soon. When you're thinking more clearly. I'm thinking clearly now, you say. They leave quietly this time. Not defeated, just retreating. Like generals planning their next move. You lock the door behind them and press your forehead against the wood for a moment, breathing slowly. Because it's not just a house.
It's your line in the sand.
And what they're really asking for, what they always ask for, isn't your support. It's your surrender. But not this time. You make tea. Sit at your kitchen table. Stare out the window. And with every sip, you remind yourself just because they're family doesn't mean they get to rearrange your life whenever it's convenient. Just because they raised you doesn't mean they own you. And maybe they never really knew you at all. You spend the next few days waiting for the next move. Not out of fear, just awareness. You know your parents. You know how they operate. When kindness doesn't work, they pivot to guilt. When guilt wears thin, they lean into history. And sure enough, it doesn't take long. On Wednesday, your mom calls. Not to apologize, not to ask how you're doing, but to reminisce. You remember when your dad built the swing set in the backyard, she says, like, it's a soft landing. You do. You also remember being the one who tore it down when it started to rot and no one else lifted a finger. She sighs. This house has always been part of the family story. You know where this is going. And we'd hate to see that story change. You let her talk. You let her say phrases like family legacy and emotional roots. You let her try to stretch a narrative over the reality she's been trying to ignore. But when she pauses waiting for your reaction, you simply ask, do you remember who paid the final mortgage payment? There's a beat of silence, a shift in tone. That's not the point, she says.
It is to me. Because you remember.
You remember maxing out 2 credit cards during the financial crash just to keep this house afloat. You remember forgoing vacations, working late shifts, and skipping birthday dinners because the pipes had burst, the walls had mold, and you refused to let the place fall apart when no one else even visited. You remember painting the bedrooms, sealing the windows, replacing the broken tile in the kitchen with your own 2 hands and a YouTube tutorial. They weren't there for that. But now they want to re-enter like it was always theirs. You let out a quiet breath. You want to rewrite this story like I was just holding it for safekeeping. But I'm not a placeholder. Your mom doesn't respond. Not really. She just sighs again. You've changed. And for the first time, you don't flinch at those words. I have you say, I stopped mistaking sacrifice for love. She hangs up before she can say anything cruel. Or maybe before she says something too true. Later that night, you see a moving truck on your street. For a split second, your stomach drops, but it's for a neighbor 2 houses down. Still, the image stays with you. You dream about coming home to find your furniture moved, your things boxed up. It's irrational, but also not. Because you know your parents, and you know how far they'll stretch for the greater good. You don't sleep much. But when morning comes, you don't feel defeated. You feel clear. You print a copy of the deed. You slide it into a folder with your name on it. Then you Google a lawyer. Not because you want to start a war, but because you're done pretending you don't already own the castle they're trying to storm. You don't need to yell. You don't need to fight dirty. You just need to protect what's already yours. And this time you'll do it with proof, not permission. You come home from work Thursday evening to a familiar car in the driveway. Your sister's. The trunk is popped. The back seat is packed tight with plastic tubs, duffel bags, and a crumpled grocery sack spilling out tangled chargers and hairbrushes. There's a suitcase already at the doorstep. You pause, keys still in hand. Inside, the lights are on. You push the door open slowly and hear the sound of someone dragging a chair across the kitchen floor. Boxes line the hallway, some sealed, some half unpacked. Your sister walks into view, barefoot hair in a loose bun, clutching a mug from your cabinet like she's been here for years. "Oh, hey," she says. Not surprised, not sheepish, just casual. "Hey," you echo voice low. She nods at the living room. "I was going to take the guest room, but Mom said maybe I could use the office. It gets more light." You blink. "Mom said." She leans against the counter like this is a normal conversation. "Yeah. She said you'd understand once you had time to cool down." You step forward slowly, scanning the room. There are already a pair of flip-flops by the back door. Your sister's giant makeup bag is sitting open on the dining table. A takeout container is half-eaten on the coffee table next to your remote. You say nothing. Not yet. Your sister, apparently mistaking your silence for agreement, keeps talking. "This is temporary, obviously. Just until I figure things out. Divorce is brutal, you know." You look her in the eye. "I'm aware." She shrugs. "Well, I didn't have anywhere else to go." "That's not the same as being invited." She sets down her mug. "Are you seriously going to make this a thing? I'm your sister. And I'm not your safety net." She rolls her eyes. "You've always been dramatic." You step past her, into the guest room. The bed is made badly. The closet door is open, already stacked with shoes. Your books have been pushed to one side of the shelf as if they're an afterthought. You feel it settle in your chest, then not just the invasion, but the quiet erasure. The way your space is being overwritten by someone who thinks her crisis is always bigger than your boundaries. You return to the kitchen. "When did you get here?" "This afternoon," she says. "Dad helped me carry boxes." "Of course he did."
You say nothing else. You walk to the front door. Lock it.
Then you head to your room, close the door behind you, and sit on the edge of your bed in the dark. Your phone buzzes a few minutes later. A message from your mom. Try to be patient with her. She's going through a lot. No apology, no explanation. Just the assumption that your space, your peace was always negotiable. You reply with one sentence. You crossed a line. Then you do something you haven't done since you moved in. You take the deed out of your folder, snap a photo, and send it to your lawyer with the subject line, "Need to enforce property rights." You close your laptop, lie back on your bed, listen to your sister laughing at a TikTok in the next room. And with every second that passes, your resolve tightens not in rage, but in clarity. Because they may have moved her in without asking. But they can't make you leave. And they've underestimated the wrong person. The envelope arrives on Monday. Thin, white, too clean, tucked neatly in the mailbox like it doesn't carry a weight that'll shift the entire floor under you. You already know what it is before you even tear the flap. It's not legal. Not exactly. Not court-issued, but it wants to look official. Language pulled from a Google search and a Facebook landlord group. Polite formatting, hollow concern. Family transition proposal, it says in bold at the top. You read it once. Then again. It's a formal request signed by your parents asking that you voluntarily vacate the premises within 30 days so that your sister can establish emotional and domestic stability during a period of crisis. It cites phrases like family, duty, temporary arrangement, and trust in shared space. It ends with a sentence that's meant to sound understanding. We hope you'll make the right decision for the family and show your compassion by stepping aside. You set the letter down on the kitchen table right next to your sister's half-eaten banana and the crumpled paper towel she left behind. She's not home at the moment, out job hunting, which usually means Starbucks and scrolling. You walk through the house slowly, eyes scanning every detail you used to be proud of. The gallery wall you hung piece by piece, the reading nook you built into the corner with a secondhand chair and 4 weekends of sanding, the rosemary plant by the window you've nursed through 3 winters. None of it feels like theirs. You take a deep breath and whisper, no. Then louder, no. And just like that, something clicks. You're done giving them the benefit of the doubt. You're done hoping they'll wake up and realize they're treating you like the backup plan. You snap a picture of the letter. You forward it to your lawyer. You add 1 line time to respond formally. An hour later, he calls you. His voice is calm, professional. He reads the letter aloud and chuckles.
This is a bluff, he says. They don't have standing. You're the sole name on the deed. They're hoping you'll panic.
I'm not panicking, you reply. I can draft a response. Cease and desist. Let them know further escalation will be met with legal action. You nod. Do it. After the call, you walk to the guest room. Your sister's room now, technically, but not for long. You knock once even though she's not there, then open the door. Inside, piles of laundry, a half-zipped suitcase, a yoga mat rolled into the corner like it's ever been used. You open the closet. One of your coats is still hanging in the far corner. Forgotten. Covered in dust. You stare at it and think they're trying to erase you in real time. But this house remembers you. And, more importantly, the law remembers you too. When your sister gets home, she doesn't even glance at the envelope. Just drops her purse on the table and says,
There's no almond milk again. Can you grab some next time you're out?
You don't answer. She looks up. Did you hear me? You hold up the envelope. She blinks, then smirks. Oh, that mom and dad just thought it'd be easier if everything was like official. It's not official, you say, voice cool. She raises an eyebrow.
Okay, lawyer.
You pause.
I am, you say, now.
She scoffs. You're seriously lawyering up against your own parents. You nod. Against anyone trying to take what I own.
She doesn't know what to say to that.
And that silence. That's the moment you know they never thought you'd push back. They thought your kindness was weakness. They forgot that kindness with a spine is called boundaries. Your lawyer sends the formal letter the next day. It's the kind of email that's polite on the surface, but sharp underneath, filled with phrases like unlawful attempt at constructive eviction and client is sole legal title holder with no shared tenancy obligations. Every sentence lands like a locked door, clear, unmovable. You read it 3 times, savoring the precision. There's power in watching your side written down by someone who doesn't flinch, doesn't stutter, doesn't try to guilt you into surrender. The email goes out at 9:12 a.m. By 9:45, your mom calls. You let it ring. Then again. By noon, your dad texts. Lawyers, really. That's it. No punctuation. Just that wounded pride typing through clenched teeth. You reply with the PDF of the deed and nothing else. The rest of the day is eerily quiet. Your sister slinks through the kitchen like a roommate who's behind on rent. She doesn't say much. You hear her making a call behind her closed door. The words, unbelievable and selfish, float through the drywall like lazy arrows that don't land. But you don't flinch, because the air feels different now. It's not just your house, it's your ground. And you've stopped waiting for permission to defend it. That night, you walk through the rooms with a new kind of clarity. You notice the chair you almost threw away but ended up reupholstering, the kitchen drawer you fixed with glue and willpower, the stain on the floor by the back door from a plant that didn't make it. Imperfections, yes, but they're yours. You remember signing the deed with shaking hands, unsure if you were ready. You remember telling no one for weeks, quietly afraid they'd talk you out of it. You remember finally opening the envelope one night and whispering, "It's mine," like it was a secret you weren't sure you were allowed to keep. And now you know exactly what that deed is. It's not just a piece of paper. It's a boundary in ink. It's the line between being used and being home. The next morning, your sister doesn't say good morning. She pours her coffee like she's auditioning for a soap opera, dramatic sighs and all. You sip your tea and wait. Eventually, she mutters,
You didn't have to take it this far.
You look up. No, I just had to stop letting it go too far. She rolls her eyes. Mom said you used to be more compassionate. Mom also said the basement leak wasn't that bad until I had to replace the drywall. She doesn't respond. Because she knows. They all do now. The letter changed something. The lawyer's voice, cold and certain, replaced years of pleading and second-guessing. It spoke in a tone they couldn't twist. It didn't ask for compromise. It demanded recognition, and for once they heard it. Later that day, your mom calls again. You answer this time. Her voice is quiet, not gentle measured. We read the letter. You wait. She clears her throat. Your father and I were surprised. You almost laugh. You thought I wouldn't have a lawyer. She doesn't answer. Instead, she says, We just didn't expect you to turn this into a legal battle. You close your eyes. You tried to take my home. A pause. We didn't take it. You tried. Silence again. Then, is this really how you want things between us? You exhale. No, but I'm not the one who crossed the line. You hang up before she can find another way to justify betrayal. And this time, you don't feel guilty. You feel grounded. Because the line was always there. They just never thought you'd draw it in ink. The days that follow are thick with tension. Not loud, not explosive, just the kind that hums underneath everything like a low-grade storm waiting for permission to break. Your sister starts slamming cabinets harder, leaving shoes in the hallway, tossing passive-aggressive comments into conversations like they're seasoning. Guess some people only care about ownership now, huh? She says one morning, loud enough for you to hear from the other room. You don't respond. You've learned that silence wielded correctly is sharper than sarcasm. Your parents stay oddly quiet. No more letters, no more requests, just distance. Cold, strategic distance. You catch your dad's car outside one afternoon, engine off, parked across the street like he's casing the place. You don't wave. He doesn't get out. Your lawyer checks in, asks if anything new has escalated. You tell him it hasn't, not legally, just emotionally. Let them be uncomfortable, he says. It's not your job to cushion them from the consequences of their choices. You almost thank him for saying what no one else ever has. At night, you hear your sister pacing in the room across the hall. You hear her sighs, her calls, her social media scroll through thin walls. She's not used to limits, especially not ones enforced by you. You remember growing up how she could wreck something and someone else would always clean it up. How your parents would say she's sensitive like it was a hall pass, and you were the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who could be moved, postponed, set aside. You swallowed so much for so long your throat forgot what no felt like. But now it's carved into the foundation of this home. You think back to when you first moved in. The slow rhythm of unpacking. The peace that came from sitting on your front steps with a coffee, watching the world move around you, but not through you. No chaos. No backhanded comments. No space-sharing negotiations. Just stillness and air that belonged to you. That memory is what keeps you grounded now as the atmosphere in your house thickens. You walk through the hallway one morning and your sister's standing there with her suitcase open, throwing clothes into it with dramatic flair. She doesn't look at you. She just says, I don't feel welcome here. You pause, hand resting lightly on the doorframe. You're not being evicted, you say calmly. But I'm also not being erased. She glares at you. You're punishing me for needing help. You shrug. No, I'm just not letting you pretend help means entitlement. She slams the suitcase shut. You've changed. You nod, finally. That night, your parents show up again. Unannounced. You don't let them in. You step out, close the door behind you, and stand on the porch while they fumble through their words. This is tearing the family apart, your mom says. No. You reply, this is the result of years of never respecting boundaries. Your dad says she's your sister. She's not my responsibility. He looks like he wants to yell, but he doesn't. Because deep down, he knows he can't bulldoze you anymore. You end the conversation with a firm but quiet, I'm not leaving my home. And she doesn't get to stay just because you're uncomfortable with accountability. They walk away. Not defeated. Just unsure. Like tourists in a place they thought they knew only to find the map's been rewritten. And inside your house feels different again. Less like a war zone. More like something sacred you finally remembered how to protect. They sit across from your lawyer at a dark wood table in a downtown office that smells like old paper and cold coffee. Your parents side by side, looking like they've just been called to the principal's office, only this time the principal has a JD and absolutely no interest in their emotional weather. You're quiet at first. Not out of nerves, but because watching them squirm is its own kind of clarifying. Your lawyer straightens a folder and begins. This meeting is a courtesy, he says, tone neutral but deliberate. My client is under no obligation to provide one but opted to do so out of respect. The word respect hangs in the air like a foreign language. You're not sure they even recognize it when it's not being demanded from you. We understand there's been confusion about the legal ownership of the property in question. He continues, sliding a crisp copy of the deed across the table. Your dad leans forward and squints like the print might say something different this time. Your mom just stares at your name typed neatly on the page, irrefutable. Your lawyer doesn't flinch. There is no co-ownership. No joint tenancy, no transferable clause. This is a sole owner, fully paid property. All taxes and utilities are in my client's name. Your mom clears her throat. We weren't trying to take anything. We just thought maybe there was a way to use the space more collaboratively. He nods. And that's not going to happen. Your dad shifts in his seat. We're not bad people. We raised that kid. Your lawyer looks at you for the first time. You nod slightly. You've got this. You lean forward, hands folded. You raised me. That's true. But I bought the house. And now you're trying to undo that with guilt and pressure. That's not family, that's manipulation. They flinch like you swore at them. Your mom opens her mouth, but your lawyer interjects. As of today, any attempt to remove my client from their property, harass them via third parties, or undermine their ownership will be considered an escalation and dealt with accordingly. Your dad's face darkens. Are you threatening us? No, you say calm as sunrise. We're protecting me. The meeting wraps quickly after that. They don't say goodbye.
You don't expect them to.
Later in the elevator, your lawyer turns to you and says, You did well. Most people crumble the first time they have to stare down the people who raised them. You shrug. They've spent years practicing how not to see me. He nods, respectful. But you see yourself. That's what matters. You step outside into crisp afternoon air, and for the first time in months, the world feels wide again. Like the pressure in your chest has deflated without leaving you hollow. That evening, your sister says nothing. She's in the living room when you come home, scrolling on her phone, pretending to be unbothered. But her suitcase is packed, neatly, by the door.
You don't ask questions.
You don't offer help. She doesn't say goodbye. Just lifts the handle, rolls her suitcase to the porch, and closes the door without a word. You stand in the quiet that follows and breathe deeply. Not with relief, with recognition. Because this was never about winning or revenge. It was about ending something that had gone on too long. You walk room to room and let the silence spread like fresh paint. No one to claim your space. No footsteps you didn't invite. No echoes of entitlement trailing behind you. Just you and the house you saved and the boundaries you finally fully honored. She leaves like she lived here, without asking, without thanking, without thinking it through. No note, no message, no final confrontation. You only know she's gone for good because the guest room is empty. Not clean, just stripped. Bed unmade. Closet left ajar. A single coffee mug with lipstick on the rim still sitting in the sink like a little signature of absence. You don't touch it right away. You just stare at the space. It's not sadness you feel. It's something softer. A quiet acknowledgement of everything that passed through your walls and out again, finally, without you having to carry it. You text your lawyer she's moved out. He replies with good. Keep a dated photo of the vacant room just in case. You do. You even take one of the mug in the sink. Just in case. The house is yours again. Fully. But it doesn't immediately feel like a victory lap. There's no soundtrack. No parade. Just you and the echo of your own breath in a space that no longer asks you to shrink. And then your phone buzzes. It's your mom. The message is short. Can we talk? You pause. You almost don't reply, but curiosity wins. You call. 1 ring. 2. She answers, and before you can say anything, she starts. We just want to know how long you're going to keep holding this grudge. You blink. Excuse me. This coldness. The lawyer. The way you made things so dramatic. Your father and I are still reeling. We don't understand why you had to take it that far. You almost laugh. You tried to evict me. Her voice tightens. We didn't evict you. We made a suggestion, a temporary adjustment for your sister's well-being. Without asking me. In my house. Silence. Then we were doing what we thought was best for the family. You close your eyes, head tipping back against the couch. And what about what was best for me? Another pause. Longer this time. Then comes the old line. The one they always reach for when logic doesn't work.
We've always been there for you.
You inhale deeply. You've always been there for me when it was easy. When I was quiet. When I didn't ask for anything. But the moment I drew a boundary, you decided I was the problem. We're not perfect, she says, and it almost sounds like an apology. But then she adds, we just didn't expect you to turn into someone so cold. You exhale slowly, eyes still closed. I didn't turn into anyone you say. I just stopped making myself small so everyone else could feel big. There's nothing more to say after that. Not really.
So you hang up, and then you do something unexpected.
You make the bed in the guest room. Fresh sheets, pillow fluffed, window cracked just enough to let in the late afternoon light. Not for anyone else. Just for you.
You sit on the edge the same way you did when you first moved in.
You remember that first night here. The echo of boxes, the smell of new paint, the weird quiet that wasn't quite loneliness, just the unfamiliar sound of being completely, utterly free. And now, months later, it returns. Not as a stranger, but as an old friend. You wake up on a Sunday to sunlight pouring through the blinds. No sounds in the hallway. No sighing sister dragging her slippers. No forced conversations over burnt coffee. Just stillness. Real stillness. You stretch slowly. Wander to the kitchen. The coffee pot is exactly how you left it. The chair at the table is still pulled out from last night, when you stayed up reading with your legs tucked underneath you. Your home is finally yours. You sit coffee in hand and stare out the window.
And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel like a guest in your own life.
The air feels thick with clarity. Like everything that's happened, the letters, the arguments, the visits, the lawyer, the tension, it's all finally settled into the walls, and they're not cracking. They're holding you. You think about calling your parents, not to fight, not to fix it, just to let them know you're okay. But the phone stays on the table, because maybe what they need more than an update is time. Time to sit with the version of you that no longer folds. You water the plants. You clean the mug your sister left behind and place it in the cabinet without ceremony. You light a candle not to reset the energy but to celebrate that it's no longer dictated by anyone else. The guest room stays empty. You don't rush to fill it.
You don't need to.
You realize something gently, almost too softly to notice at first. The end of this fight wasn't your victory. It was your permission. Permission to stop explaining your worth. Permission to keep what you built. Permission to live in peace without feeling like you owe anyone discomfort for it. You step outside barefoot on the front steps. The sun hits your face. It's warm, steady, familiar. The neighborhood moves around you, kids on bikes, a dog barking, the hum of a mower 3 houses down. All of it is ordinary. But today it feels like a reward. Because you stayed when they tried to push you out. When they turned the guilt up to high. When they called your boundaries bitterness and your silence cruel. You stayed. And maybe the house is the same. Same chipped tile in the hallway. Same creaky floorboard by the laundry room. Same slightly tilted mailbox that you keep meaning to fix. But you aren't the same. You're not scared of being alone. You're not afraid of saying no anymore. You're not someone they get to manipulate with family speeches and nostalgia weaponized as strategy. You're the person who quietly, powerfully said, "This is mine. And I don't have to give it up just because you're uncomfortable." And some victories aren't fireworks. They're not loud or sharp or dramatic.
They're just Sunday mornings. Still air. Warm light. Silence that doesn't ache anymore.
You take another sip of coffee. Let the quiet stretch. And finally, you smile. The house hums softly now, like it's exhaling alongside you. No tension clinging to the corners. No drama echoing through the walls. Just the familiar rhythm of your own breath, your own footsteps, your own quiet peace. You move slowly through the rooms, not to check anything, not to fix, but just to be there. Fully. Present. Your fingers trace the edge of the counter you once scraped your knuckles installing. You brush a speck of dust off the bookshelf that still holds your favorite dog-eared novels. You sit at the table, the one you once built from a Craigslist cast-off, and listen to the ticking of the clock like it's a lullaby. There's no more fight to brace for, no more corners to defend. And in that stillness, something soft settles inside you like light through gauze, or the feeling of coming home after a long, cold walk.
You didn't win to prove anything.
You just stayed when it mattered.
You didn't raise your voice. You raised your standards.
And the cost, the distance, the silence, it was all worth it. Because now you get to keep the most precious thing of all.
Yourself.
The version of you that no longer tiptoes, that no longer waits for permission, that doesn't mistake loyalty for self-sacrifice. So, tonight you pull the blanket over your legs, light that one candle that always makes the room smell like old books and cedar, and close your eyes. Not because you're tired, but because you're finally safe. And if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.